I'm Allie with Potomac Beads. Join me in making this framed duo design featuring our round duos and just some seed beads. Remember, if you need any supplies, you can shop with us online. Gather up your materials and let's get started. So to begin our framed duo earrings, we are using the RounDuo bead along with some 11/0s in the Miyuki brand in the Crystal Labrador Fool, 8/0s in the Champagne, and 15/0s again in the Labrador. I'm using the RounDuo in the Jade color, and I've put onto my thread and needle, which I'm starting out with about 5 feet, and chances are you'll use about 12 to 15 feet for this project. I have a stop bead on the end of my thread with enough thread at the end that I can add my clasp after the fact. Adding 2 11/0 seed beads, I then put on my first of my RounDuo. Add 2 more 11/0 seed beads, and sew down through that first hole, or that second hole rather, of the RounDuo bead. Pull nice and tight, and then with your thread and needle, right there after the stop bead, sew through those 2 11/0 seed beads again. What that's going to do is allow those 2 11/0 seed beads to sit at both the top and the bottom of our RounDuo. So it almost looks like little ears on the end of the RounDuo. From here, I want you to sew through the second 2 beads that you just added. And coming out, we're going to add some 8/0 seed beads with some 15s between. Add an 8 followed by a 15 and repeat that 3 times. So I have an 8, 15, 8, 15, 8. So you end up with 3 8s and 2 15s between. So back through the 2 on the other side of the RounDuo there, and that frames the first side of the RounDuo bead with those 8/0 seed beads. On the other side here, same thing, 3 8s with a 15 between each. When I come back to the top then, I'm going to sew through those 2 original beads, as well as through my first 8/0 seed bead. When I do so, my whole RounDuo bead will kind of appear that it is in a nice circle of seed beads. Coming out here, we're going to create some corners. And the way that we're going to create corners is we are going to add in some of our 11/0 seed beads between each of our 8/0 seed beads that are there. Coming out the 8/0, I want you to add 2 11/0 seed beads and sew into the next 8/0. Again, coming out the 8/0, 2 more 11s, and sew into the next 8/0. The 2 11s are going to sit basically right on top of the 15s. When you get to the side here, sew right through the 2 seed beads that are already there, and then straight through to your next 8/0 seed bead. Coming out that next 8/0, just like we did previously, add 2 11s, and sew through the next 8/0. Coming out that next 8/0 then, I want you to add 2 more of your 11s to create our 4th corner. You're going to sew through the 8, through the 2 11s then that are next, through the next 8, and out through the first 11 that you added on the first corner. You can see you're starting to get almost like an oval shape here. We want to get it nice and rectangular to frame out this RounDuo. So coming out through bead number 1 in my groups of 2 on my corners, I'm going to add 1 more 11 and sew through bead number 2. Sew over through the next 8 and the next 11 and add in your next corner bead. 1 more 11 goes on, and I sew through the 8, then through the next 2 that are already there, through the next 8, and the whole way to the next corner. When your thread is coming out that next corner bead there, this is going to give you the opportunity to add another 11 on what is now the 3rd corner. Sew through the next 11, 8, 11, and come out between the last corner 2 11s. Add in 1 more 11/0 seed bead to complete the corner. Sew through the second 11 in that corner piece, through your next 8-0 and out after the next 2 seed beads that sit to the top of the RounDuo bead. When you look at the piece now, you have your first little framed square, and your thread and needle should be coming out on the opposite side of that stop bead. We're going to do a little right angle weave to add in, a square stitch to add in and get our next box start. I'm going to come out of those 2 side seed beads, add 2 more seed beads in the 11 size, and sew back through those 2 seed beads that your thread is currently coming out of. If you need to, you can kind of bend the side back a little bit to get your needle in there, and then sew straight out on the corner of the 11-0s. Once your thread and needle is out, that original 11-0, you're going to pull tight to get those 2 seed beads that you just added to sit right next to the last pair. Sew through the 2 you just added, and now we repeat. From here, we pick up our next RounDuo bead. The next RounDuo bead we add 2 more 11-0 seed beads. Sew down through the opposite hole of the RounDuo. Nice tight pull. And then sew back through the 2 our thread was coming out of. The thread was coming out of the bottom of those 2 11-0 seed beads. We added the RounDuo, added 2 more 11s, sewed back through the next hole, and now we're coming down through those 2. This is the exact same that we did at the start. From here, we're going to increase, adding more of our boxes with our 8-0 seed beads separated by a 15, 3 of them. Sew through the 2 at the top, add more, sew through the 2 at the bottom. Come out your 8-0 seed beads and start to add your 11-0s for your corners. Remember, the 2 11-0s sit between the 8-0 seed beads right on top of your 15s. When you get to the portion that you're coming out of an 8 and you don't have a 15 there, you're going to sew right through the 11 that are already there in their group of 2. Through those 11 and out the 8. Again, coming out the 8, 2 more 11, sew through the 8, 2 more 11, sew through the 8, and the whole way over then down that line of seed beads. So you're coming out through the first 11-0 seed bead that you added in those 4 groups of 2. Add in all your extra 4 11s, 1 for each of the corner, sewing straight up through the sides, adding an 11, straight through all the beads then on the sides. And generally speaking, your corner beads will sit open, giving you a nice space to just sew right easily from one side of your little rectangle here to the other. When you get done, you're through the 11-0 seed bead right there. What we're going to do then is sew through our RounDuo bead, sew through the set of 2 11-0s, square stitch on 2 more 11-0 seed beads, and continue on your stitch, adding and adding and adding more and more rectangles to your nice framed little boxes there, making your bracelet longer. This also has a nice curvature that it can be done as a necklace if you would like. And if you want to, you can even add more sets of your groups of 2 to create a wider section between your framed RounDuos. As you continue on in the bracelet, you can make the decision, I showed just a little variation, how if you're going to add an extra row of the just square stitch there, doing that nice link, you just add 2 more beads and continue on. The distance that that's going to sit apart, you'll end up with approximately 19 of your boxes, and if you do a little bit kind of wider of a connection point there, you're going to end up probably with about 15. So you can comment below and let me know exactly what your plan to do is for that connection. That way also it helps out the beading community. You can also give a little thumbs up too if you like it as is, or comment below if you're going to add more of those links. So once you have all of your boxes, and about 19 in total will get you that 7.5, 7.25 wrist. I'm coming out of one of my last groups of 2, just as if I'm getting ready to add my next box here. And I'm going to add 2 more 11/0 seed beads. I sew through the back of my cup button, which is that Jade Picasso. And coming out the front, I want you to add a 15, 8, 15 onto your needle. So down through the other side of the button and out. Coming out the other side of the button, grab 2 more 11/0 seed beads. Sew through those 2 11/0s that your thread was coming out of. Now, anytime, and again, you can comment on whether or not you do 2 times, whether or not you do 3 times through the clasp. I want to make sure that I at least do 2 times through the clasp, going through the button here, sewing back through my 15, 8, 15, down through then the button on the other side, and down through the 2 11/0 seed beads. Now this was back on the starter side, and then as you continue along in the design, adding more in, you're going to get to the end in the other side. I'm going to weave back through the end of my project till I can tie off the thread and burn it down. On the opposite end, when you have your 19 or so boxes, you're going to do the same thing, but instead of going in and adding a button, you want to make a loop. You want to make sure that the loop is going to be big enough for your button to sit inside of and go through on the edge of the design. To do so, on the edge here, you want to make sure to have a loop that is going to be at least 10 8/0s with 2 15s in between. So I have 2 15s, 8, going the whole way around till I have a grouping of at least 10 of those beads for my thing to fit in. Again, coming back to the end here, I'm going to go back into the design, weave through, and then do some little sewer's knots, creating a knot at the end. Grab your thread zapper thread burner and burn down the thread edge. I tend to try to make my knots away from the end of the project, so that way if they're further along the design here, they are hidden a little bit and you don't see them as much. There are so many variations to this design and what you can use in the middle. You can keep it all silver like this one here, or really add on and make it your own by adding in some additional color, having some additional design, or even changing out the bead that you add in the center. Again, with all of these videos, comment below and let us know exactly what you want to see and the design ideas and how you're changing up, creating, or adding to the design. Keep in mind when you do these are also great little earrings, and again, if you want to space it out for a nice little choker necklace design or a longer one that really has that nice almost jeweler look to it. Thanks so much for joining me in making these Framed Duo design. Remember, when you do the Framed Duo design, you can do it as a bracelet, a set of earrings, or even if you want to elongate that little square stitch section into a necklace. Comment below with any changes you made, especially if you decide to change up the design and make it one of those alternates. Remember, you can also post in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making the variations to the designs. If you haven't already, subscribe and give a little thumbs up to let us know that you like the videos, and give suggestions in the comments of future videos you want to see. As always, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy your new Framed Duo bracelet, necklace, or earring design.